Hello, Dean Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. First thing I think I should say is if you hear a rumbling in the background, it's not an earthquake. If you see any shaking, it's not the camera, it's me, because there's a pretty scary thunderstorm going on outside. I've mentioned many times in the past, I moved to Tennessee from New York about a year and a half ago. We would get the occasional thunderstorm in New York City, but mostly just your garden variety rain. Out here, it rains almost every week. And when I say rain, I say sometimes 2, 3, even 4 days in a row. That's pretty much what it was like last week. And the rain is really rain. It's like the slogan on the Morton salt shaker container, when it rains, it pours, because it really, in fact, pours doesn't even cover it, more like floods and torrents of rain. So I can even hear, as I'm speaking to you right now, I can hear a rumbling in the background, a low rumbling that it's not like a thunderclap and then it stops. It's a low rumbling that continues for minute after minute after minute. I've never experienced anything like it, even back in my home state of Michigan. So there you have it. If you're interested in Tennessee and what the rain is like in Tennessee, I just gave you the info and I can give you some advice. Bring an umbrella. Now on to today's subject, which is not the subject that I had promised yesterday. I said I wanted to get back to what I'd been talking about a couple of days ago, about the root causes of these riots that seem to be calming down now, finally. But I wanted to talk about the so-called root causes, which I'll give you just a brief summary. In fact, just one word: liberalism. But it has to be put off until tomorrow because something happened today. I'm recording this on Friday. So as usual, this is going to be old news for a lot of you, perhaps most of you, maybe all of you by the time you're watching this, but it has electoral implications, so I do want to talk about it, and maybe somebody missed it. Before I give you the headline, I got to set this up. The economy has been really slow, really bad since this coronavirus hit, and we had to practically shut down the whole country. We had and have high unemployment. We have millions of people out of work. The projected numbers were to be even worse. The job numbers came out this morning. The experts, the so-called experts, maybe the same experts that predicted that Trump would lose in 2016. I'm hoping it's the same experts, because these experts were wrong. They were talking about potentially 20% unemployment rate. They were talking about another 2 million jobs being lost. But here's the headline: unemployment rate drops to 13.3% in May, signaling return of U.S. jobs. The U.S. unemployment rate unexpectedly dropped to 13.3% in May, down from a record high in April, indicating the nation's economy is recovering faster than expected from the coronavirus lockdown. The Labor Department said in its Friday report, that would be the morning of today that I'm giving you this vlog right now. The Labor Department said in its Friday report that employers added a stunning 2.5 million jobs in May, the biggest increase on record. The economy shed a combined 22.1 million jobs in April and March, meaning there are an estimated 21 million Americans currently out of work. So the total figure is still very bad, but this is the opposite of what the experts, the economic experts, were expecting. They were expecting things to get worse than they already were. Also, this is the number for May. We are in June, so we'll see what happens in July. July will give us what June was, and then we still have several more months until November. So this has an electoral implication. Here's another headline: Trump touts surprise job figures, quote, "These numbers are incredible," unquote. And for those who say that Trump has a tendency sometimes to exaggerate, or our friends on the left say that he outright lies. He is perfectly accurate here. These numbers are incredible. They really are. They are incredible when you consider what we've been through. They are incredible when you consider what, again, the experts have been predicting. Trump, well, he touts, he has the right to tout. He really does. The headline also says that Trump touts surprise job figures. This is an opinion where those of you watching this and I can disagree or agree, but I think that he has a right to tout these surprise job figures, as he did. President Trump on Friday celebrated an unexpected drop in the unemployment rate, calling it, quote, incredible, unquote, and crediting his administration for the gains. Needless to say, he's going to get a lot of pushback on that from our Democratic friends, but you have to remember how strong the economy was before the coronavirus hit, and the credit does go to tax cuts, regulation cuts. I can tell you, I'm a real estate broker. I still am licensed in New York. I work over the internet and over the phone, so I live in Tennessee. But the point is, I have a lot of business customers, and I can tell you that for business, well, never mind low taxes, that's good for everybody, whether you are a business owner or an employee, but reducing regulations, that is a great job creator. I am sorry if anybody wants to disagree. Well, I'm not sorry, you can disagree, but I just know from my experience and from my customers that reducing regulations means a lot. I know especially in New York, because New York is regulation and tax crazy, and I speak to my customers all the time, and they can tell me how hard it is for them to operate their businesses because of all these regulations, not to mention the taxes and this $15 an hour minimum wage. Restaurants are already closing, and my customers are telling me the trouble that they're having. They're having to cut back employee hours. They can't hire, they can't expand as they wanted to because the economics don't work. When you force somebody to pay a particular wage, I don't know what it is, these government officials, they think that business owners are made out of money, that they can operate just as a charity and just give employees whatever they want or whatever the government thinks that they should have. Economics doesn't work that way. If you raise your prices to pay these higher wages, you get people eating at home. So I guess that's good for the supermarkets, but those supermarkets have to pay $15 an hour too. So you go to the supermarket and maybe the service is not going to be as good as it was. That's what happens when you artificially raise wages, but I'm getting a little off the subject. Forgive me for going on a little bit. I knew I was going to go on a bit. That's why I said at the beginning that I'm going to put off what I had intended to talk about until next week. Plus, I have a lot of headlines and stuff, so it's better for me to do it over the weekend. But back to Donald Trump, because he tweeted, as he has a right to do, about these. Well, of course, he has a constitutional right. I mean, because of these numbers, he is justified morally to tweet what he tweeted. This is an amazing job report, quoting Edward Lawrence of Fox News. I am so stunned. I've never seen numbers like this, and I've been doing this for 30 years. That's Steve M. Really big jobs report. Great going, President Trump. Kidding, but true. In other words, he's complimenting himself. As he did this morning, he held a long, it was supposed to be a press conference, but the press was so rude that after he made his statement and Steve Mnuchin made a statement, Larry Kudlow made a statement, one or two others made a statement, he actually was signing an executive order to help small businesses more. And as he was sitting down to sign the order, reporters just started rudely shouting out questions. And I say rudely because after he signed the executive order, he was going to get up to the lectern and take questions and let everybody else take questions who was up there on the podium with him. But they were so rude that he just cut it short. He signed the executive order and then he just left and everybody left. My only regret is that he did not call out those reporters and say, I was here, I was planning to take questions, I was about to get up to the podium and invite you to ask questions, but you were so rude that I'm not going to do it. That's what he should have said, and then walked off. And he should say at his next press conference, if anybody at the White House is watching this, or the president, at the next press conference, at the very beginning of the press conference, say, I am going to speak and then I will take questions, but if you do not wait for me to invite you to ask the questions, if you shout all at once instead of waiting for me to call on somebody, if you are impolite, if you are rude, then I'll just end it immediately and just walk off. I have other things to do, like making the economy even better. I hope he will do that next time, but I want to end today with just prognostication about the election that is coming up, because I had been quoting for the last few days, first of all, the betting sites that have been, until 2016, when, fair disclosure, they were completely wrong, but they generally have a good record of predicting the results of presidential elections, except for a brief period back in March, 1 or 2 days, where Biden was ahead. The average spread among these betting sites had Trump comfortably ahead until 2-3 days ago, when these riots started. The spread narrowed, and then 1 or 2 days ago, the spread crossed, and Biden was ahead by as much as 4 points, maybe even a tad more. But today, and by the way, the betting site, they update it throughout the day. So I'm giving you this as of 2:20 Friday. The spread had narrowed to 2.7, so it went the other way. Maybe it will keep going. Plus, the stock market is soaring today. It was at one point up over 1,000 points. The NASDAQ, if you follow stocks, is on the verge of hitting a new all-time high. The Dow Jones is about 2,000 points from an all-time high. And I can tell you that my personal portfolio is, my mutual funds and things like that, that is at an all-time high as of today. But enough about me. Back to Trump. It looks like this might be narrowing, but also the Rasmussen poll of likely voters, as I have said numerous times in the past, that is my go-to poll because it is likely voters and it's an average of 3 days and it uses a robot voice. So the person being polled cannot be influenced by the emotions of a human being asking the questions. A robot asks the questions, you just push buttons on the phone to give your answer. He was down to, I think, 43% a few days ago, and then 44%. Yesterday, 46. Today, 48, which is where he usually is, around 40 lately, well, until this coronavirus stuff. I'd say 46 to 49. He is now at 48, but this is a 3-day average. Mathematically, it's very possible that he was at 50% or over 50% during one of these last 3 days that were used to calculate the average. So if you are a Trump supporter, then this is possibly heartening news. It's only 1 day. We have to see what happens going forward. But at least for today, after all the bad news I gave Trump supporters, this is a bright spot. So I wanted to share it. I guess it's bad news if you are a Democrat or a NeverTrumper. So I guess NeverTrumpers and Democrats, I feel your pain, but it doesn't bother me. And you know what also would not bother me? It would not bother me if you give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Share it with anybody you think would also like the video. You can put comments in the comment section below the video, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting subscribers. And finally, if you don't do any of that other stuff, I would love it if you would at least come back and see me again. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.